I'm Wesley Hunt.
I'm Wrendon Hunt. And you're in the hunt.
So I'm going to kick this one off here proper. Like a couple of days ago, former President Barack Obama had his 60th birthday. Happy birthday. Great. We should always celebrating our birthdays.
Yeah.
I have no issue with the birthday celebration, particularly milestones of every decade, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, kind of a big deal. No issue with that. If you haven't been paying attention to what's going on and what this current administration, the Biden administration, has been talking about in terms of more mask mandates, even for children, potentially shutting down the country again because of the Delta variant, and the lack of this administration's ability to administer the vaccine to as many people as they would like or projected to do. And now we're talking about vaccine passports as well. So when you string all this stuff together, part of me is thinking to myself, well, okay, well, maybe the former Democrat president that preceded him, who he was the vice president for, would believe some of this stuff or at least adhere to some of the policies that the Biden administration is putting out right now.
I have a question for you.
They're encouraging people, even when you've had the vaccine, to wear a mask because of the Delta variant. What's your question?
Was Obama's party a Zoom call? That's a fair question.
These days,
he's one of the leaders of the Democratic Party.
Was his
Zoom call? I'm just wondering, or is that not? Do they not give it up to Democratic? It was a Skype call.
No, it wasn't a Skype.
Okay.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh, got you. It was a Google Hangout.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a Google Hangout.
It wasn't a Google Hangout. Okay,
no,
well, please
it wasn't
continue.
A Zoom call, wasn't Skype.
Please continue.
No, wasn't FaceTime?
I need to. Oh, okay.
No, FaceTime. To the contrary, there was a very nice tent that was put in the backyard of his palatial estate.
Well, it's a tent, so it's technically outside. So you can make out with people in a tent. And it's okay. You're not going to get COVID.
Tent that's inside, right? Okay. So if you could imagine my face when I saw these pictures develop of all these affluent liberal Democrats at Barack Obama's party and not a mask in sight. Not a mask in sight. Now, here's my problem, Wrendon. You and I I have no problem with that. But don't shut down the entire country if the former Democrat president wants to have a party and doesn't want to wear masks for all of him and all of his celebrity friends. This is a problem with me. This is a big problem with me, if you can't tell.
It should be, because it's a problem that starts with a capital H, and it's not Hunt.
It's
hypocrisy. Okay?
It's hypocrisy.
This is, if I could use a verb to describe this is Gavin Newsoming a situation.
Yes.
Right? This is Gavin Newsom making sure that kids can't go to school in California when his kids are going to the private schools and they're just fine.
Yeah, we're talking.
This is Gavin Newsom saying that, hey, we're going to shut down every restaurant, but when I go to my nice wine bar and I'm hanging out there, I don't have a mask on, and they better open for me, right?
For it. Okay. So apparently the COVID Delta variant doesn't impact sophisticated people
or rich people.
Well, the sophisticated piece is what was put out by the administration. They were sophisticated enough to have the party.
What?
You don't know this?
No, I didn't read that.
I'm sorry. No, I'll show it. I'll show it to you after this. Hey, can y'all pull it up? Actually, put it up on the TV.
Sophisticated enough?
Oh no, I'll read it to you. No. They're gonna pull it up. I'm gonna read it to you. That they were sophisticated. The word sophisticated was used. I'm not making this up.
Oh, wow.
As if the Delta variant doesn't impact rich liberal people. You're immune. Or there's like a different variant of the vaccine if you're friends with, if you want to go party with Barack Obama.
Well, I'll tell you, Wesley, there's good news and bad news about this, okay? The bad news is that's horrible. And it's a terrible thing to say. And it's very partial. And I didn't hear, you're seeing my reaction live. Me no likey that.
That's not good.
Okay? The good news is,
Go ahead. Well, go ahead.
The good news is I'm never going to get COVID. You know how sophisticated I am?
Look at that blazer. Look how sophisticated that double-breasted blazer is.
COVID has no chance against
You'll
me.
never get it.
COVID has
You'll
no
never
chance.
get a vaccine ever again.
Yes.
I'm wearing a double-breasted blazer and no socks. Do you know how sophisticated I am?
And I just finished an espresso.
Whoa.
Come on, man. With foam.
Come on.
Come on, man. I'm never getting
COVID has
COVID.
got a chance.
Draw his blood, he has the cure for COVID. These comments were made by New York Times White House correspondent Annie Carney, who argued that they've been taken out of context. However, she said on CNN that the reason why was because they were sophisticated, vaccinated crowd.
Wow.
A sophisticated, vaccinated crowd. So you want us to wear masks even if you've been vaccinated because of the Delta variant. So I guess the vaccinated part has us covered, but we're not sophisticated enough.
Are you sure that didn't come from the new Nas album?
No,
Because he's a sophisticated, vaccinated crowd. you sure that wasn't from King's Disease
you
too?
know what? I was thinking of Rick Ross. We so sophisticated.
He's a sophisticated, vaccinated. Oh, my Maybach music.
I was thinking of Rick Ross. We so sophisticated. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty horrible.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, because
pretty bad.
and one of the things that we've always been sensitive to is...
And but real quick, Wrendon, I don't want to cut you off. Real quick,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with him having a party. That's what's so interesting about it. I have no issue with that.
No.
I have no issue with him having a maskless party.
Yeah.
Don't make everybody else do it then. And also, you know what it really tells me? He knows it's not a problem.
Ooh. Well, look.
Because if it was a real problem,
Wesley,
he wouldn't have had the party in the first place.
whatever conclusion you come to on this, and first of all, let me go ahead and go on record as saying this, as you know. I mean, I looked at those pictures. Barack Obama looks incredible, man. He's got that glow. He looks incredible. He's taking good care of himself.
Clearly he has.
Like, clearly, right?
Clearly he has.
So the problem is, this doesn't bode well for Barack Obama in either ways that we can talk about this.
Yes.
Either he doesn't think that it's a big deal, and he's acting like it's a big deal for everybody else.
Which is bad.
Or
bad.
He knows it's a big deal, and he's just negligently not listening to it being a big deal. It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Neither one of them is good, and neither one of them is productive from a public policy standpoint and public outreach. Like, now, once again, you're trying to tell people, especially in the black community, you are the most popular figure ever in the black community. Period. Bar none.
Yeah.
Right? The most popular figure ever in the black community is Barack Obama.
Period.
That's it. Like,
Michael Jackson's high.
game over. Oprah's high.
Oprah's high.
Barack Obama's number one.
Jordan's high.
Jordan's high. LeBron. LeBron's like, I'm not number one.
LeBron's high. LeBron's high.
Like,
Muhammad Ali's high.
high. But I mean, we're talking about the number one person. And once again, this is why leadership matters.
Yeah.
This is why setting an example matters. Because we're having problems with people in our black communities that are not getting vaccinated and that are having social gatherings without getting vaccinated. And then we get to open up People magazine and see the most popular person in the history of our community who is acting like COVID doesn't exist right now.
And by the way, Wrendon, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
It's still
But you're
irresponsible.
not sending the message. That message that he is sending is not congruent to what the message his vice president is sending out today.
No.
And I get it. You aren't the president anymore. But I could guarantee you that his opinion matters far more than Corn Pop Joe.
Just because you're not the president doesn't mean that you're not a leader.
Yes.
And doesn't mean that you're not an example for people. Because let me tell you, it doesn't matter if he's president or not. Like I said, man, you see how he stepped up his wardrobe game? You see how that's going on?
I don't really pay much attention to him.
I mean, he's not president anymore, but like people
I really pay attention.
Oh, I'm paying attention because people are watching you.
Yeah.
You're not president anymore, but it doesn't mean that all of a sudden people don't watch you.
I don't appreciate the lack of congruency with what he did and then also the messaging that he's put out. Here's what I mean.
It's flat out irresponsible.
I would love. Do you know what I wouldn't care? Do you know how I wouldn't care? If he had the party and then came out and said, I actually don't think that I want people to get vaccinated, I'm vaccinated. I don't think the Delta variant should shut down the country or force people to wear masks. Here's my party. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now your messaging is congruent with it. Here's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there.
It's consistent.
It's consistent.
And you know how I am with that word, consistent.
Yep.
It's consistent. And I have a really big problem with this because I do think that it's sending one of two very wrong messages. And either that wrong message that you're sending is that you shouldn't be as concerned about it as you should be, or I'm lying to you by telling you should be concerned about it. This is why people don't trust politicians. This has been the biggest thing for me with parenting as
You saying you don't trust me?
as I've gotten. Cut that. Edit that out. This has been the biggest issue that I've had as a parent. You know how I feel about this very strongly. We grew up in an era where it's, why should I do this? Because I said so. Yeah. We grew up in an era that do as I say, not as I do. The biggest thing for me as a parent is I'm trying to be the example for you. Yeah. And if you see me do stuff that is incongruent with what I'm teaching you, call it out. Yeah. Call it out. And that's how I feel about leaders and politicians. Like, I have a hard time aspiring to be or look up to leaders who don't feel that the rules apply to them.
That's right.
And I don't care if they're a Democrat or Republican. I don't care.
Just give but be consistent.
Yeah.
Be consistent. Be aggressive.
B-E aggressive. V-E-A-G-G-R-E-S-S-I-V-E.
Aggressive. So I was gonna say consistency.
Hey, you have something in your nose, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got it.
Speaking of consistency, thank you.
Got you.
I see what you did there. Speaking of consistency, Matt sent over something to me this morning that I found to be really funny.
Okay.
And you're gonna love this. I didn't want to tell you about
This
it.
is what they refer to as a web gem.
Yeah, you're gonna love this.
Okay, what you got?
You're gonna love this.
Right.
Okay, so I didn't want to tell you because I wanted
You
your
wanted my
reaction.
live reaction.
I wanted
Okay.
your live reaction.
That's fair.
So there was an issue at Colorado Rockies Stadium yesterday.
Okay.
Because there was a fan that yelled out a word, and I'm going to get to it here in a second. And the people around him thought that it was a racial slur. And it stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest. Here's what the Colorado Rockies put out on Instagram, and I'm going to read you what they put out 20 hours later. Here's how it begins. The Colorado Rockies are disgusted at the racial slur by a fan directed at the Marlins' Lewis Brinson during the 9th inning of today's game. Although the subject was not identified prior to the end of the game, the Rockies are still investigating this incident. The Rockies have zero tolerance for any form of racism or discrimination, and any fan using derogatory language of any kind will be ejected and banned from Coors Field.
Okay.
20 hours later. After a thorough investigation that included calls, emails, and video clips from concerned fans, media, and broadcast partners, the Colorado Rockies have concluded that the fan that the fan was indeed yelling for the Rockies mascot, Dinger, in hopes of getting his attention for a photo. And there was never any racial slur that occurred. The Rockies The Rockies remain dedicated to providing an inclusive environment for all fans, players, guests at Coors Field, and any fan using derogatory language of any kind will be ejected from Coors Field.
So you know what I've just realized? Like the world,
We've lost our minds.
but I understand. So I understand so much more now. Hunter Biden is a Rocky. He was calling for Dinger the mascot.
That's where I was getting at.
Hunter Biden's a Rockies fan.
It's
So it's okay.
He said Dinger. It's not what you think he said.
Okay. You got to be kidding me, man. And and this is an issue that.
So you're ready. So do you know what the Rockies are going to do? They're going to change the name of the mascot.
They are.
I bet.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Now all of he's going to be Sam.
So for those people who don't know what a dinger is a home run.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
With George Springer, what do we call him? The Springer Dinger.
Yeah.
And so we are now living in a world where a fan is literally yelling at a mascot, and we are so uber sensitive and hypersensitive that we can't even distinguish. We have to have an investigation for something like this.
I mean, Wesley,
how many games have you been to in your life? Sporting events?
Hundreds.
Have you ever heard the N-word used? Not by the players?
No.
Hundreds. I've never once heard. All the games that I've been to.
You know that they're going to change strikes are going to be A's now. Because if you get 3 strikes and have KKK, I mean, people are going to get mad. So they're going to have to change it to another letter. What? I mean...
There's going to be no such thing as 3 strikes. It goes from 2 to 4 strikes.
It's like the 13th floor.
It's like
the 13th floor of a hotel, yeah. 12 to 14.
What are we talking about?
So, and here's the big issue I have with this, and we have talked about this a number of times. If you look to be offended, you'll always find it. If you're looking for and this is what saddens me. Think of the mindset that you would have to be in to watch a person and say, I know they're using the N-word.
Think about that.
Think about the mindset that you would have to be in. And quite frankly, it's the idea of living in fear. Yeah. And this dovetails with COVID and a number of other things. I refuse to live my life in fear. Mm-hmm. And that includes the fear of somebody saying something about me that I won't like or that's offensive. I'm not going to live my life in that fear. The fact that you have people walking around who are waiting for people to mess up to say something so that they can jump on them, what does that say about who we are as a culture and where we are mentally? How can you have any level of fun or enjoyment in life if you're constantly looking for people that are trying to offend you or trying to marginalize you in some way? And people live their lives that way.
Could you imagine this poor guy? Okay, so he was probably 8th, 9th inning. Probably had a few, right? Because anytime you see a grown-ass man yelling for a mascot, my guess is...
Things is probably not going well.
My guess is he's had a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is not something that a sober second inning person does.
No. And so could you imagine him doing that, then probably gets in his car, has a good game, enjoys the time with his boys, and gets in an Uber, gets home, and then all of a sudden his phone's blowing up.
It's like, dude, you're banned from the stadium.
You can't.
You racist.
All of his wife's friends are like, you married a racist. Your wife is like, what did you say?
Oh yeah, and now his kids can't go to school anymore.
They can't go to school anymore
because kids can't go to school anymore. He probably got fired from his job and then rehired because he knew that he would sue him.
The whole time he's thinking to himself, I mean, I was drunk. Maybe I said it. I thought I said dinger. I didn't know. I didn't know.
That's just...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
While we're on baseball, too, I got one more for you.
Oh, gosh.
For you. Are you familiar with the controversy that's going on with the Indians and changing their name to the Guardians?
Yes.
With the I think it's a men's roller derby club.
It's a men's roller derby team. They've been there since 2011.
Okay. So the Indians changed their name to the Guardians, but they didn't do their due diligence. So there's a roller derby team that's been around since 2011 named the Guardians, and so now they're suing the Indians for trademark infringement. And here's why I love this, Wrendon. Here's why I love this. You and I have a nuanced approach to this whole thing. The Indians being called the Cleveland Indians, see, that never bothered me. You know who else it doesn't bother? Indians, a.k.a. Native Americans, depending on which Indian or Native American that you talk to. I remember many years ago I visited a reservation An Indian reservation, I'm very specific when I say Indian, an Indian reservation in Oklahoma. Do you know what I found out when I asked a few questions? They don't like being called Native Americans. They like being called Indians. Do you know why?
Why?
Because they aren't Native Americans. They're just natives. An Indian is essentially saying native. They came here before the Americas were here. How dare you call us Native Americans when we were here before them?
Wow.
So literally, most Native Americans, if you want to be PC and woke, they actually just prefer to be called Indians, which are natives to the land.
Well, and that's what's weird about woke culture is woke culture is choosing things for people.
They don't even ask the group.
They're just choosing these things for people.
They're doing it for you.
How many times at work, and I mean we haven't worked in predominantly black places ever in our careers. I can't tell you how many times at work I've had the HR people having diversity and inclusion training, and they're talking about what to call black people, and I'm the only black person on the call, and I'm like,
they're not going.
You can just ask me.
But they're not going.
I tell you,
if
you just ask me, and this is what we do in woke culture. Like we make decisions. I feel like you should be feeling oppressed, so because you should be feeling oppressed, this is what we're going to do.
No. You feel oppressed. I'm telling you, you should.
I feel oppressed on your behalf.
What are you doing? What are you doing? So, and we talked about this. The Braves, I have no issue with that. The Seminoles, I have no issue with that. You are literally the
Washington football team.
Now, that's for you and I.
Yeah.
The Redskins, you pushed it.
Yeah, that took it too far.
You put it like now that.
Oh, that's the line.
That I feel like that's the line.
Yeah, that's the line.
We're calling somebody Redskins.
Yeah, that's the line.
I feel like I'm not anti-changing the Redskins. Now, I'll also tell you this: a lot of people in Native American / Indian community, whichever you choose, they don't have an issue with being called the Redskins.
So this goes back to what we've talked about. This was the caveat, Wesley. We live in a world now where you can't just talk about a topic without the woke brigade dispatching some people to you to talk about somehow you're being racist about it. Oh. You have to say the Native American or Indian community. You have to give all these caveats. You know, like having a conversation now is like reading from a prescription drug, right?
Yes. Sleeping, coughing, aching, stuff.
Hi, my name is Wrendon Hunt. I am African American. I also can be preferred to call black. And I can be you have
to like read small print for every. Yeah.
Like how come you can't have a conversation that's rooted in the fact that you're talking about people? Like we know who you're talking about.
I'm not trying to be rude or derogatory.
No, let's pick something and roll with it, right?
So here's what's really funny about the Redskins. We have some friends of ours, and they were actually near an Indian reservation, and there was a football team on a bus, and it was an Indian reservation football team. And guess what the name of the team was?
The Guardians.
Try again. It was the Redskins.
Wow.
See, we assume that people are offended and that they're going to be offended without even talking to the affinity group.
Yeah. And by the way, so I can't move on from this. My heart won't allow me. Did you say a men's roller derby team?
I'm not even touching this. Notice how fast I glossed over it. And I'm not going to let you suck me into this vortex. Okay? I'm staying out of that.
The Guardians.
The only thing I just said it was a men's. That's all I said.
The Guardians are a men's roller derby team. That could also be.
I'm not reading that small print.
I was just asking.
And you know what the funniest part is? The website is clevelandguardians.com.
There you go.
You want to talk about lack of due diligence,
Lack of due diligence.
You got to be kidding me.
In defense, if there was due diligence, that someone came across a men's roller derby team, I'm not quite sure I take it all that serious.
Oh yeah, we could take that.
Yeah, we got it. Men's roller.
Anybody named the Guardians? It's a roller derby team. Oh man, take that.
We got that. No, don't worry about it.
Take that.
I can easily see myself doing something like that.
Could you imagine being the person who's the owner of the men's roller derby team and being like, dude, I'm gonna get like a $3 million check.
Dude, it's like the
we were making making negative
it's like-
250,000
It's like
a
the
year.
Purell guy. Once COVID hit, he's just like, yeah. Literally.
Yes. Man.
Like the COVID guy, like Purell when COVID hit.
Lysol and Purell, huh?
Yeah, dude. Clorox. I mean,
Crazy.
yeah, let's get
Crazy.
it. Let's get
Crazy.
it. Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, too bad they're owned by the Chinese. I'm just kidding. But
Too soon.
Too soon?
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't have been too soon if it weren't for the Delta variant. Got to do another shutdown here. Do another shutdown.
One of my favorite comments on social media is if somebody asks me why I'm not wearing a mask, I'll just say, I'm just going to go party with the Obamas.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
Oh.
That's pretty funny. It's funny.
Oh, man.
It's funny.
You'll appreciate this because I was thinking about the context of COVID, because I think what people are trying to do is, and it's what the media is trying to do, they're trying to make it so that anybody who is conservative or Republican is trying to trivialize what's happening in COVID. Like that's the playbook.
That's the playbook.
The playbook is, well, you're a Republican, so you don't believe in vaccines, and you think that everybody shouldn't wear a mask. Like that. That's like the playbook.
It's not true.
And quite frankly, the playbook is played. It's played out.
Yeah.
Okay. And so. And you've heard me say this a number of times. Like, yes, I do think people should be vaccinated. I think the vaccinations are helpful right now. It doesn't prevent you from getting it, but it could prevent the severity of the.
It's like how vaccines work.
Yeah, but
that's how vaccines work.
But the playbook is that we have to be all against or in something. I caveat all of this with saying, man, I was reading this book about the Spanish flu.
Okay? Wrendon.
And it absolutely blew my, because we act like everything is novel. We've never seen things like this before. It's crazy. In 1918, at the height of the Spanish flu pandemic, one of those words, right? A third of the population of the world was infected with the Spanish flu. At the height of it, there were as many deaths of the Spanish flu in a 2-year period. There were more deaths of the Spanish flu than there have been COVID deaths to date.
Wow.
To date.
Wow.
There were more deaths of the. Think about the and that's in the U.S. That's in the U.S., not worldwide. In the U.S. Think about the difference of population in the United States from 1918 to now. That's like 2 major cities versus the entire country in the United States, right?
Yes.
And that's how much bigger the population. And they still had more deaths in the United States from the Spanish flu than we have to date COVID deaths right now.
That's perspective.
And
that's perspective.
Let's not forget, that's when World War I was going on.
I know.
Woodrow Wilson, and once again, the way you like or don't like the way this was handled, it's kind of crazy looking at it in hindsight. He basically ignored that it was happening. Yeah. Okay. And the big argument with the Secretary of Defense and the Department of the Army was, do we send soldiers over there or not? Because they're all going to die going over there anyway because they're going to get the Spanish flu. And then they're just going to bring it over to Europe. That was the debate that was going on, and we decided to engage in the war even though that was happening.
Yeah.
The reports, and this was the part that really got me, the reports that they had from medical staff, there were people, and once again, this wasn't H1N1 virus too that they were dealing with, more severe than COVID, and certainly more deadly. There were people and soldiers that they did not know if they were black people or white people because they were so oxygen deprived that it changed the pigmentation of their skin.
So do you know what I've learned about this, Wrendon?
And that happened like over 100 years ago, dude.
Do you know what I've learned about the people in that era too? They weren't sophisticated. Because if they were sophisticated,
they would have never got
this. Being sophisticated not only protects you from COVID, but also protects you from the Spanish flu.
Too soon. They're not sophisticated. But how nuts is
crazy,
that, though?
man.
I mean, because once again, we don't put things into perspective because we're not willing to delve into the history of things.
Yeah.
And I would even, perhaps my analogy would be, COVID is to the Spanish flu what the Frederick Douglass Freedom Fighting 50
Well, 51.
one.
Freedom Fighting 50. Frederick Douglass Freedom Fighting 51.
The Frederick Douglass Freedom Fighting 51.
Yeah, you got it.
Is to the 1960s civil rights movement.
Right. It's a good analogy.
Right?
That's a good analogy. It's like comparing apples to orangutans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this is not to downplay,
No,
COVID.
and that's why I had to preface all of this.
We've lost a family member to COVID.
Yes.
I'm not saying.
That's why I had to preface all this with the fact that I'm not trivializing COVID at all. And we're in a position too where you look at schools. There are always trade-offs in life.
Yeah.
Nothing in life is free. There is no free lunch. You choose whatever phrase you want to use surrounding that.
There's always a choice.
You don't get something for nothing. It never happens. Okay? And one of the things that we're even seeing in school systems, there is a societal value to having children in schools. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
For the children, for the parents, for culture,
society.
Yeah,
there is a value.
It stems out like
I don't
roots,
know
like
what
roots
the
in a
number
tree.
is. A 110. Yeah. I don't know, but there is a broad societal value in having children in school. There also is a trade-off of safety if we're willing to send kids to school at all, with or without masks. There's always a trade. Like the easiest way to be safe is to just sit and not go anywhere. 35,000 people died of car accidents last year in the United States. Mm-hmm. The easiest way to be completely safe is to not do anything. We need to have conversations in this country about what are the trade-offs that we're willing to make from a freedom perspective, from a public safety perspective.
That's all we're asking.
Look, I'm asking Barack Obama. There's a trade-off there, man. I want to have a big 60th birthday too.
What's the trade-off?
I want to have a nice 60th birthday too.
Yeah.
But am I willing to?
His answer might be yes.
And that tells you a lot about him. I would hope that it wouldn't be yes, but that tells you a lot about him, right?
Well, but I mean.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like there's a trade-off. Like, yes, you want to have a big party, you want to celebrate this milestone, like you've done so many incredible things in your life, yada yada yada, and I get that. Okay.
Wrendon,
however,
just like I said, I told you, if he came out and said, "We've vaccinated people only," I don't believe that the Delta variant is going to kill us. I'm willing to take that risk. We're not having masks at my party. I wouldn't say a word.
Yeah,
but he won't say that.
Yeah.
See, this is where I think there's always like nuances to these conversations. I don't care about the party itself.
Yeah.
I care about the message that sends that's actually completely counterintuitive to what your vice president is putting out right now.
Well, and this is what we talked about with Gwen Berry.
Yes.
The second that you step up and you're deciding that you want to be a spokesman of things, can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, you are a public figure who is still the most popular person in the Democratic Party, and you were the leader of the free world. So you don't get to then all of a sudden shirk those responsibilities and do things that are very irresponsible. You're still the leader when you do that. That's a problem.
That's right.
It's a problem. And once again, I get it's good fun and you want to do, but if you don't see that that's selfish of you doing that because there are other people that are going to perceive that and not take this as seriously or assume that you don't think it's serious, if you don't see the potential damage to that, if you don't respect that,
your whole perspective is whack.
Yep. Sorry. Has nothing to do with my level of respect for you.
It's not consistent.
It's not consistent at all.
So I got to wrap us early today.
Sounds good.
I got to take a kid to swim practice.
Enjoy it.
I know.
Well, I tell you before you get out of here, it's pretty cool to see the Indy Olympics, huh? It's pretty cool to see so many. What it was, so many great Americans who were legitimately happy about being Americans and patriotic. Like, no, I'm serious, man. Like there were some examples of that I thought were pretty cool. I mean, we can delve into a little bit in the future, but I thought it was,
I appreciated KD winning that gold medal and wrapping himself in the flag.
Yeah, and the young lady from Katie too, and wrestling who
her
talked
too as
about
well.
Just being excited about being. I mean, it was just nice. It was nice to see that being proud and being patriotic as a default was not taken as a negative thing.
That's true.
Or at least I would hope that that's the case. But that's all. I know you got to wrap us up. But,
It depends. You know.
yeah.
Because next week we got to talk about this LeBron Lakers team at some point. That's going to be on a topic for next week because I got some good stuff for that. I think it's hilarious.
All right, take us out, man.
And remember, smiles are contagious, so make someone's day. God bless y'all.
God bless you.